Cool. So we're gonna get into some fun stuff tonight. I don't have anything super crazy planned. We've had, let's see, we're adding right now 100 people a day to the Facebook group. Lots of new members. Lots of questions. I love it. I like that you guys are jumping in here and answering a ton of the questions that you previously had yourself, but now you have the answer, so you can pass on that goodwill, pass on those answers to other users. It's incredibly valuable. Really cool. See, Shankar, welcome. Aaron, what's up? Welcome. Cool. So as you guys are jumping in here, throw in your comments, throw in some questions you guys have. Let me know what's your biggest hurdle right now. Let's focus on that, because what I don't want to do is just do the same old thing, and you guys just sit here and be like, yeah, I watched it, but right? I want to make sure I can take you from where you are now, overcome some hurdles, and get you moving forward tonight, right? Pretty cool. See, Steve, Upper Michigan. Oh, that's cold. Man, too cold. Donald, Myra, welcome, welcome. So again, as you guys are jumping in here, throw some questions, comments into the comment section. Let me know what's holding you back right now. And then we'll dive into the fun stuff. Really dive into what's holding you back right now. And overcoming some of those things. You know, a lot of things that feel hard to overcome really are easy. It's positioning the question a bit better, or the situation, right? It's called reframing. Taking what you consider as your biggest hurdle right now and making it a strength, or just tackling it more directly, which a lot of people, don't naturally do. So you see Razu has right here, capital is holding me back. So what's interesting is asking better questions about that, right? So let's say let's just, as an example, you have $1,000 in capital in cash. So with wholesale, the cool thing is it's easy to scale once you've tested a product, right? We talk a lot about risk mitigation. So the strategy that I really like with people who are like, hey, I'm kind of running low on capital, or I'm coming to this business model with little capital. Here's what you do. You take the cash that you do have. You use that to begin testing small test orders, right? Let's say you find product A that's interesting. Let's say you can move 100 units in estimation per month, just you. You're going to place a test order of, let's say, anywhere from 12 to 24 units. Okay? Once you do that, let's just say it costs you $500 to do that. Let's get really expensive products, right? So immediately you're like, man, how am I going to scale this out? I can't even purchase 100 units right now. Correct. But here's where using leverage or debt can be beneficial. So what I like to do is use the cash you have to test a product. You're going to buy it, send it in, make sure it's selling through, make sure everything is good, right? Because everything you've done up until that point is an estimation, right? So you've done that. Fantastic. I would place one more order that's a little bit larger, just, again, risk mitigation. Once you've done that and you're like, okay, let's go to 100 units per month, the estimation was correct, I need more money. Now's when you can start using leverage or debt to scale it out. I'm still using my cash, my capital, to test new products that I just don't know if they're going to go well or not. I'd rather lose my money on a test than obviously somebody else. Either way, you're going to have to pay for it. So that's when you get creative. It might be net 30 terms. I don't suggest that out the gate, especially if you're new to the business model. I wouldn't start with that, but certainly credit cards. It's an easy way to scale without assuming you're doing it the way I'm telling you to do it. It's not that bad, and it lets you scale very quickly. It helped me scale from the $1,500 that I had when I got started to spending 30 grand per month, and that's it wasn't painful to do that, right? And then at some point you're like, well, I know right now I have enough. Let's say I'm spending 50 grand right now per month, and I have another 20 grand in inventory that I'm like, I could buy that right now. It's profitable. I just need the cash for it. Go get a loan. Not hard to get. Luckily right now with the economic status, which that's its own little discussion and conversation, getting money is not that hard to do if you really do it right. If you ask the right questions and you don't just Google a bunch of things, right? You're not going to get answers on Google. You're not going to get money on Google, but there's so many options. So many options. I mean, even Cabbage, not the best rates, but it lets you scale. You're going to give up something when you're doing that, and you're going to have to, pay the interest on that. But, if your numbers say I'm still going to be profitable doing that, I'm probably going to, because it helps you scale, So even, the perceived biggest one is capital, and it's truly not. It's not your biggest hurdle right now, I promise you. Let's see. Learning more about sourcing strategies and finding wholesale accounts that give me a good margin. I'm trying to overcome finding profitable suppliers. If I want to get my feet wet with Amazon FBA, can I take a product that's selling really well and it's from China? Do I need to brand this? Okay, so we're going to dive into the sourcing stuff because that's a big one. In terms of the getting stuff from China, that's not wholesale. That's private label or white label. And people use those interchangeably for some reason. That's not what we're talking about. We're not creating our own listings, although you can, assuming it's still following that, wholesale model. What we are doing is finding products that are already doing well on Amazon. We're then getting direct accounts with the brand and purchasing from them and shipping into Amazon to sell. So we follow reverse sourcing and leaf sourcing. So let me show you guys how to do that. How do you actually go about finding wholesale products? Okay, so I start on Amazon. The hardest part here is picking a category. To make it hard on myself, let's just go with baby. And it doesn't matter which one you pick. Just pick one. So once I've done that, I'm going to go ahead and add a few filters. I'm going to add 4 stars and up. Let that load. And then I'm going to do minimum is 25. Lately, I've been playing around with just 50. I like higher priced products. They have far less competition. Just really great products, actually. So I'm going to do this. And the tools that I'm currently using. This is going to be DS Amazon Quick View. It's a free Chrome extension. The other one is going to be Keepa, which you'll see pop up right down there in the bottom right. So Keepa, Keepa, both free Chrome extensions, and we'll also be using VinDrive, which you guys can get a 14-day trial if you want to use that. And I'll show you guys that in a bit. So all I'm doing is I'm scanning through here. I'm looking for 3 FBA sellers or more. A product that is not sold by Amazon, so none of these match so far, but that's okay. We're going to keep scrolling. I'm just looking real quick as we're going. And sometimes you might have to refine your filters, the subcategory. The thing to keep in mind is that this is simple and straightforward, but it's not easy because you still have to do a lot of work. So if you do this and let's say you look at 5 pages and you don't see anything that matches those criteria, that doesn't mean you give up. That means you refine, you look at another 50 pages because other sellers are not willing to do that. Big key differentiator there. So we're going to go one more page, and if we don't get anything, we're going to jump into a subcategory here. And you're going to have nights where you're sourcing and you're just finding product after product after product. And other nights, you're going to find ones... or you're going to have nights where you're just not finding hardly anything. That's okay. That's normal. Don't feel like you're doing something wrong. Part of the process. So we're going to go a little layer deeper here. Again, we still have those filters layered on. I'm just quickly scanning. And sometimes you might have to jump into a different category. It all depends. We're going to let this load through. The cool thing, though, is once you find one, you can use a strategy called leaf sourcing to start finding more. So we actually have one right here. Amazon was on it, but we'll talk about it because I want to explain a few things. So you can use leaf sourcing. So we'll actually leaf source from this product up here once we take a look at it closer. And all you're doing is you're taking the products that you found that are interesting or potentially interesting, and you're sourcing from those pages as well. You're going a branch deeper, if you will. So let's get this stuff to load. No data found. We'll take a closer look up close. Let's see. So we got 2 so far. And we'll go a few more pages, and then we'll start diving into the exact pages, analyzing, okay, maybe this product's good, maybe it's bad. Let's talk about why it would be either case. And same thing, I'm just scanning through, looking as quickly as my computer can load. We'll do this page, and then we'll jump on to the next one. So you can see a lot of products are carried by Amazon. So a lot of people, while they're sourcing, they're like, oh, well, Amazon's just too deep. You know, they carry too much stuff. I can't do it. Of course you can. You can go 20 pages deep. For our time, we're not going to go that deep because it's going to take a bit. So let's take a look at this product. Overall, it's a mature product. Let me describe what that means. Mature meaning the price is actually pretty stable. You see it jumps up here, but it's not all over the place. When your price, like this line right here, looks like this, that's an issue. That's called volatility. We don't want that, right? So specifically your third-party FBA in new condition, that's really the line that I'm looking for. Although it doesn't draw a line, you can still clearly see it. I'm comfortable with this. I also love the price point, by the way. Next, I am looking at the buy box, or excuse me, I am looking at the BSR range now. I do want a lot of volatility here because it's showing sales. What I'm mainly looking for is what's the upper limit. Right now it's 5,000. We can zoom out and see that the upper limit is actually 40,000. But if we get rid of everything before, what is that, mid-July, basically we're getting rid of the outlier. It's staying within that 5,000 range. Pretty well, right? Not bad. Amazon's been on it for a very long period of time. They've gone out of stock twice, and they have not been in stock since early January. So that's a red flag for me. I want to know what's happening here. I'm going to go ahead and make the assumption, and I'm going to look into it, that Amazon ran out of stock, which is why the price has come up. Now, the price has been here the whole time. Amazon's been on it. When they've gone out of stock, it's popped a little bit, but not this high. You can also see that eTails is currently a seller on here, which may be another red flag, but we'll take a look. So with that said, normally I see this and I run. But because they haven't been on for this long, I want to double check. I want to try and get this account. That doesn't mean I'm going to purchase anything, but I want the account. And I want to know if Amazon's kicked off the listing. Because, fun fact, this happens. I have inventory in accounts with suppliers that used to sell to Amazon. And they don't anymore. Why? Because they're a pain in the butt. They want to pay hardly anything for the inventory because they're buying so many things anyways. And they want to drive the price down. Right? You can see here, this is pretty much MAP. So interesting. I wonder what's changed. Maybe the brand actually said, you know what, let's bring MAP to $209.99 for the new year, which, by the way, you're going to start getting those emails as you get accounts. They're going to say, hey, going into 2020, this is our new MAP. This is our new cost. We're shifting everything up. Perfect. We can do that. So I want to verify. So let's take a look at the brand here. So here's how you actually find brands. Let's make this easy. You throw it into Google. Okay, so it's halosleep.com. And by the way, don't just throw Halo into Google. That's not going to help you much unless it's a very unique brand name. And I'm looking for some sales contact information. Definitely not customer support. Definitely not emails. Sometimes you have to. That's okay. We have become a retailer. Apply online. I don't like doing that. They do have a phone number. It's not a direct to somebody. This is obviously a bigger company, but that's okay. I'm not afraid of that. Again, right now, I'm looking to see what's happening right now. I'm looking to see, did Amazon get kicked off? What's changed? Maybe this is a good opportunity for me to get in, right? If they're like, no, Amazon's so good, they just ran out of stock, it's on their way. Okay, thank you. Have a great day, right? But it's worth a phone call. So we're going to grab Let's grab this guy first. So we're going to jump over into VinDrive, and we're going to add the supplier to our stage of to be contacted, right? These are suppliers we want to contact. So it's going to be Halo Sleep. We have their phone number. This is actually the manufacturer, not the distributor. Let's grab that email. Super important to have this contact information. And jump over here. Perfect. Just grabbing what we need. And you'll notice too, I don't pull just the, halosleep.com. I actually pull the exact URL where I find contact information. I don't know why. For me, it just makes sense. Doesn't mean you have to, but little side note for you, if you will. I'm going to write a little note here. This is for my future self. I'm not going to call them right now, but at some point I'm going to, and I don't want to remember everything. I don't want to have to, so I'm going to dump it all into here, right? Amazon has been on listing for some time, but has been off for 1.5 months, maybe. Or let's do this. Verify if kicked off. Also, eTails is current seller. Seems to have map enforced, and then stabilized product / listing. I'm just putting everything in here that I can think of. Obviously when I'm doing this full blast, I'm putting tons of stuff. So we're going to add this note. This is just for me. When I do go to call a sales rep, I read through this real quick, say, oh yeah, that's right. Okay, cool. I'm good to go, right? Make it easy for yourself. Last part, I'm going to grab that ASIN, and we're going to add the product first. Let's make sure we haven't added it before. No, we haven't. Perfect. Throw it in here. So now we're tracking it, and we have it assigned to the supplier. Now, let's take a look at the profit calculator, because a lot of newer sellers stay away from the pricier, expensive products, and I don't think you should. Okay, so it's got a $209.99 sell price. Net profit before costs and shipping is 150.6. That's a lot of margin, right? Let's just say these things are going to cost $80 a pop. And actually, let's be more conservative. Let's do $90. They weigh 48.3 pounds. So let's just say, what is that? 50 cents times 48. Let's just call it $24. Because why not? And then let's just say we can negotiate free shipping from the supplier because we're going to place larger orders, or we can just negotiate with them, right? Cool. Net profit, 36.60. Return on investment, 32.1. So your ROI is 32.1 with these assumptions. They may be better, they may be worse, but it's important to think through this stuff, right? So I know if they come at me with, and I can find that shipping is actually lower than $24 per unit, that's a good thing. If I can negotiate this, that's a good thing. If they tell me that the cost is $85, I'm like, oh, perfect. I can have these numbers. And what's cool is you can have this open while you're having these conversations with suppliers and they're telling you this information, and you can throw in what they are telling you on the phone, right? They're like, oh, we typically charge, if you're ordering within 60 units per order, it's going to be $85. Perfect. I'm going to throw that in here real quick. I'm just gauging as we're going. And what's the average shipping cost for you guys sending out an order? Oh, we actually, if you're over 24 units, it's just included. Perfect. So, well, actually, this guy would actually be down here. But you get what I'm saying, right? So we can come in here and be like, oh, they're not going to charge us for that. That's good. We didn't need to negotiate. And then we can actually come back after we've figured out what the exact shipping cost is per unit into Amazon. And let's say it's actually going to be $10. I don't know, right? So it might actually end up being much better in terms of ROI than you anticipated. And a lot of people are really hesitant with heavy products. I don't think you should be. As long as they are still profitable, how much they weigh, how much they cost is irrelevant. It's all good. So not bad, right? Kind of like this. Sellers currently sharing the buy box for Current BSR is 1705. It's not bad. I like this product. But again, it's all going to be dependent on what's happening with Amazon. So let's jump over and answer some questions we may have here, because I'm sure we have a few. Okay, so what do we got? Hopefully that wasn't too much too soon. Okay, so let's see. See, Danny, this is a great question. Is there a max amount of FBA sellers that you will work with? No, because it doesn't matter. It's relative. What I mean by that is, if the BSR is 5 and there's 30 FBA sellers you're going to compete with, you can still move thousands of units. If the BSR is 50,000 and there's 30 sellers, you're not going to move thousands, right? You're probably not going to move hundreds. So it depends. What I care more about is the outcome of the equation, not specific variables in each section, right? So I'm going to look at what's the average BSR, current competition plus myself. I'm going to divide that out, right? So I'm going to, as an example, let's jump back over here because I think it's a really good like practice to show you guys how to do this. So let me transition over here. Cool. Okay, so let's get Jungle Scout's free estimator loaded. Let's take the average BSR for this product. And yes, you should use the average number, not current situation, because that changes. So we're going to look at the average. We'll use the last one, 80, so 2737. So let's see here, 37. Did I do that, or did I just go full dyslexic? I think I did. I did. 2737. There we go. I'm a finance major, everyone. All right, so US market, and then this is going to be in baby. So we're going to choose that, and we're going to calculate sales, right? Okay, so it's going to move 480 units per month. There's 4 people in the buy box. We want to jump on potentially. That's going to be 5. So we just do 480 divided by 5. We can estimate we move 96 units per month with current competition, assuming nothing changes and we follow averages. For me, I'm looking for at least 30 units per month. That's it. Okay. Now, if this changed, because it's very important, let's say this was 50, right? Crazy awesome product. 50 BSR. Okay, so it's 6570. Let's say we're going to compete with 30 sellers plus, and that 30 is including ourselves. That's us moving actually more. So it's not just, oh, there's a ton of competition on here. That's a single variable of the total equation. It actually might be a better product for you to carry. Yes, there's going to be more volatility in terms of pricing, but luckily with wholesale map enforcement is getting better. Map enforcement and agreements are becoming more prevalent. I worry much less about it. I really don't care how many users, or excuse me, how many sellers I'm going to compete with on a product or a listing. I care more about how many units can I move per month on average given current competition, right? And when you're looking at only carrying stabilized, mature products where the price hasn't changed in the last year, the likelihood of that happening is far less. Is there still a likelihood? Of course, but it's far less. The probability is so small. I worry less about it, right? So again, everything that I'm doing, I'm building in risk mitigation the whole time. Now, what you do obviously want to do, and something that helped me transition and change my perspective on everything, was not looking for reasons to buy a product, but looking for reasons to not buy a product. Don't get excited because the numbers look good. The numbers are estimations. That's irrelevant. That's why we place test orders, because you're going to see numbers that are flawless. 1,000 units a month you can move. Fantastic. Place a test order of 12 units and it takes you 3 months to move them. Happens. This is why risk mitigation is so important, and I wish it was talked more about, and why we talk about it quite a bit, is because what a lot of what a lot of sellers end up doing is taking statistical predictions, if you will, which are purely historic, and applying them to the future and saying, nope, that's what it says. And listen, same thing, done it myself. It says I can move 100 units. I just purchased 100 units. I missed something. Doesn't work out that well for you. So don't make that mistake, right? Build it in. Prove it. That said, we can move 93 units. Prove it. And by prove it, I mean place a test order and then look at the actual velocity and your sales data using like a tool like Restock Pro. And then if it's like, yeah, no, you can move 90. Okay, cool. If it's, hey, you can move 70, that's fine too, right? Or if it's like, hey, you can move 20. It's like, that's different. I mean, I might still want to do that, but now I know. Now I have actual sales data to back up what's going on here. And then I can more comfortably, more effectively move forward with future restock orders and with that supplier. Super important. See, Danny, great question. How will you pursue the product if the brand is on the listing? I still go after them and have a conversation, but it's similar to what we're dealing with here, which is I need more information. So I'm going to say, hey, I see you guys are selling on there. Is that something that you're looking to expand on? Because, if you're looking to do that, I don't think we would be a great fit for each other. Or is it something that, you guys are just, you feel obligated to do, you just haven't found somebody that's a good fit for you guys? I really want to figure out what's happening. Because if they're like, no, we really want to expand it ourselves, we'll let you sell. Okay, that's fine. Have a great day. Not worth my time. But if it's like, yeah, we just can't find somebody we can trust, so we're trying to do it ourselves and it sucks. I get it. Let's have a conversation now. Because that might be, a great opportunity for me to step in as an expert and take over that. And get them off the listing. Happens too. See, Dale, in my experience, companies are looking for partners that can offer more than just Amazon and eBay as sales channels. I've considered creating an e-commerce website to help land accounts, but I'm not sure it's worth the extra work, site maintenance, fulfillment, customer service. It's not. I can tell you that it's not worth building out a fully functioning e-commerce site, and it's probably not going to be profitable for you because you have to build out your own, sales channels. I agree. And that's why you focus and we focus so heavily on providing so much value. Here's a good way to lose this game. Call them and say, I will give you money. That's it. It's not enough. Not enough. You're doing sales. If you come to a conversation having done your homework, you understand the products, you understand the listing, you understand the pitfalls, you understand where it's doing well. You can easily come to them with the value proposition of, listen, here's everything that could do really well. I'm going to give this to you. If you guys don't end up working with me, that's fine too. I did the homework. It's yours. If you guys want to go do all this yourself, go do it. It works in your favor when you can approach it, especially when you're talking to a brand. When you're talking to a distributor, it's irrelevant. They don't give a shit. When you're talking to a brand that does care, less so with reps, but it still can. You're talking about increasing sales, not just absorbing some, right? This is the whole issue of, are we just cutting another slice of the same size pie? A lot of sellers do that, and it doesn't last long term. So what you want to do is focus on areas where you can expand the size of the pie. That's listing optimization. That's helping users or helping the brand monitor map. That, oddly enough, fits in. That's running PPC campaigns. There's a few other, there's bundling, right? Like I just did an episode with Barbara Drazga about doing bundling. A lot of our users are doing bundling now because it does add value, right? We can increase the amount we're purchasing from a supplier. We can get more of their products out into the market without saturating the price point. Like there's all kinds of stuff you can do. But don't feel like, and don't make the, what's it called? There's a mental model for it. What's it called? Where basically you look for reasons to justify your thoughts or excuses, right? So, we hear this in groups all the time, not ours, but, a bunch of groups, you see it, right? Where people are like, yeah, well, I'm having a hard time and I'm just not making it work. And then somebody else jumps in there and says, me too, because you're also feeling the way that I'm feeling. doesn't work. That's a confirmation bias. That's what it is. Where you're looking for confirmation that you're right about this. It's not how this works. Switch it. There's users, I keep saying users, there's sellers that are doing so well with this, that are putting in the work, that are overcoming these obstacles, that it's just not the case. Do you hear all the time, most likely through email, well, we want you to have a brick and mortar. We want you to have more sales channels than just Amazon. Of course you do. That's called an objection. You have to learn how to overcome those objections and turn that into a positive thing. This is the difference between being an Amazon seller and being an e-commerce business owner who happens to sell on Amazon because it's a great sales channel. And when that changes, so does the sales channel that we carry. Now, I tell brands all the time, it's not that I'm unwilling to go that route, but, us not having those additional costs, that additional, $3,000 to $5,000 per month in costs allows me to spend an additional $3,000 to $5,000 per month with our suppliers. That's what we care about, is growing orders, is growing brand recognition, is getting behind brands that we believe in, that we can carry for, years and years, and being able to do more with you, right? Would you rather me spend $5,000 with you every single month, or spend $5,000 this month, 6 next, 7 the month after that? Have those conversations. You have to understand what they're actually asking and what they're actually saying. A lot of that stuff is filtering. That's all it is. I've had a supplier where I emailed them, this is back before I was heavy on phone calls, just said, no thanks, we're not onboarding any Amazon sellers. I said, okay. So I called her. I said, hey, I just want to have a conversation, pick your brain about this stuff. I know you said no, and that's totally fine. Let's just have a conversation. And I got that account, and she says, well, actually, our protocol is whenever we hear or see Amazon, we immediately tell them no, because the majority of them won't come back and say, or have any kind of pushback. They're just like, delete, gone. So they're like, it's an easy filter for sellers who are legit, and for sellers who are flippers or sellers and just trying to get easy accounts. She's like, we're not interested in doing that. So the fact that I called her, I actually got that account. We talked for 2 hours. I picked up the phone. Nothing crazy, right? But a lot of sellers hear or see no and don't push back, or they don't call every 2 weeks for the next 3 months. They don't follow up. Goodness gracious, if you don't follow up, you are doing this wrong. That means start tomorrow. It's not hard to do. I was talking with one of our Aura users today, big wholesale guy, and he was saying, the funny thing is, my best accounts are accounts that I've been working on for months and months and building relationships, to the extent that some products he carries, he doesn't make money on, but he's using that as a strategy to build relationships. Now he's at a point where he's scaling, spending $40,000 last year with a brand to $150,000 this year. But he's approaching it the right way. He's building a relationship. He's saying, hey, let's meet at this conference. Let's grab dinner. Let's grab lunch, and let's talk. I want to spend $150,000 with you this year. How can we do that? What's the best way to make that work? Now he's in a power position, but they enjoy working with him because he's built a relationship. But it's taken months and months to do that. That's why I keep saying, don't approach this as, what is my business going to be doing next month? Ask the question, what's my business going to be doing in the next 2 to 5 to 10 years? When you're thinking from that perspective, you transition from playing checkers to playing chess. That's what you have to do. You have to be playing chess this entire time and not checkers. Checkers is short term. Okay? It's face value. Think strategically. It's going to help so much. That's my mini rant for the night, but I'm telling you, it's going to change a lot. What else do we have? I love this. So Kev, pro tip, write notes to yourself as though you were writing to someone else. We tend to think, I know what it's all about. Oftentimes we, I forget, and then I think, what was this all about? Yeah, that's such a good point too. So while you're writing notes in VinDrive, about things. Write them as if you're writing them to someone else so they're legible, because you're writing them to your future self, whether that's an hour, the next day, weeks, whatever. Yeah, because I notice I do that too, where I'll just write my thoughts down and I go to reread them and I'm like, this makes no sense. Like, yes, it's a sentence, but I don't get it. Super pro point too. Yeah, no, I really like that tip. That was good. Let's see, Dale, you said you like higher price items. I've stayed away from high cost products because I was concerned about returns killing profitability. What have you seen with higher cost products in terms of returns? This is actually really interesting. Returns with higher price products are lower, and the people are nicer. So when something breaks, they actually will email you and say, hey, this was damaged when it got here. Just want to let you know what's the best way to move forward. Super nice. Are you going to have returns? Yes, they're far less. And I've noticed when I've had returns on the higher end products, they just didn't want it. It got there and like, oh, this isn't what I actually wanted, or whatever reason. I can still put that back into inventory and sell it, so it's irrelevant. So it's not like I'm gonna go spend 10 grand on 20 units and have 10% of that return and damaged. No, not really how that plays out. If you're seeing that, that's a red flag for something else, obviously. So it's actually the opposite effect, right? It's kind of like when you buy a cheap watch, $40 watch, you love it, it's great. At the end of the day, it's still a watch. You bang it up. It's going to happen, right? How you treat that is different than, a Rolex that costs, let's say, $7 grand. You're a little less movie with your wrists, right? If you're wearing an AP, a Royal Oak offshore, whatever, you're very aware of where your wrists are moving. Let's just put it that way, right? Kind of matters. So higher end products, for some reason, I'm not sure if it's customer base that is different, or I don't know, but that's how it's played out. I've talked to other users or other sellers, and they've come to the same consensus. So it's not just me. It's not just my own little isolated thing. It seems like that's just how it is with higher priced products. It's great. I don't know. Please buy more higher priced products. There's less competition. The products are actually really amazing products, so you can carry them for a while. They're high quality things, hence why they're so expensive. And it's great. I don't know. I'm a fan. Let's see. See, James, so if the BSR is low, then even if there is 30 sellers, is it okay? It can be. It depends on what the BSR is. Again, you just saying this is the BSR isn't enough. If you tell me the BSR is 10,000, I'm like, cool, that's low. That's not I have more. I need more, right? How many sellers are there? There could be 200 sellers, in which case I'm probably not going to be interested. What's the category, right? It depends on what the outcome, the output of the equation is. How many sellers? What's the category? What's the average BSR? I want my estimated sales per month, taking all that into account plus myself. I'm going to go from there. And then, even then, I'm going to step back. I'm going to place a small test order, and you're going to be like, but it says I can move 1,000, Dylan. Why am I placing in a test order for 24 units? Because something could be easily missed. And the probability of you missing something, especially when you're new, is incredibly high. We all do it. Don't make the mistake that we've made where you lose $2,000 on a pallet because you didn't do your proper due diligence and you used the current BSR and not the average, which was vastly different. Like when the current BSR is 200 and then the average is like 10,000, there's a difference, right? Again, variables change with the equation. We're just doing math here. And so it does matter. So you have to ask the correct question that includes all of the variables, not just what's the BSR. It's not enough. I'm sorry. Let's see. Jacob, are you going to ASD? I would love to. We're trying to actually do a lot of conferences this year and trade shows. Just, with VinDrive, with Aura. Even our group, I'm speaking next month in South Florida, in Miami. I found that out, so I will have the info to you guys posted because I know a lot of you wanted to go and meet up and hang out. It's free to go to. I'm just speaking for like an hour, then 30 minutes of questions, and then we're just going to go somewhere and hang out, network, all that good stuff. So I'll post that for you guys. But we're trying to do a lot more of that with classes, especially this being my senior year, kind of hard. But all the weekend ones I'm going to try to go to, it's just really going to come down to schedule. That's really it. Especially as we're growing Aura the way that we are, by the way. We weren't ready for that in a good way. It's been great. It's been really cool. Super grateful. Great feedback. People, current users jumping into Facebook groups, sharing their experiences, sharing what they like, sharing what they don't like, so we can make it better. It's been phenomenal. People asking, what repricer should I start using? And to have 5 to 10 of our users jump in and be like, Aura, go. Like, Aura's the best. Like, it's amazing for us to experience and to have that, knowing that we are building a great product, currently continuing to build a great product, and super cool stuff. So we're going to try to do a lot of that as much as we can. So we'll see. Let's see. Christian, I've seen some listings with 3+ FBA sellers, but they're all the same seller. Does this meet the criteria of at least 3 FBA sellers, or should I disregard because it's the same seller? It depends on how you want to approach it. For me, it depends. I can't say generally. I can. Okay, so generally I would skip that because I'm going to make the assumption that it's probably private label. But looking closer at, I would still look at the listing and I could tell you if it's going to be private label or not. Just is what it is. So if I can clearly tell it's a private label product, I'm going to move on. If I'm like, this is just a seller doing some, multiple listings, stuff like that, I'm probably going to still reach out to the brand and be like, hey, do you, who is this seller? It looks like they are carrying multiple things. I just want to verify that is correct. And then I would jump in there with, again, a small test order, see what they do, and go from there. Danny, do you continue to monitor the BSR over time and adjust stock accordingly? Manually, no. That's why I like tools like Restock Pro, where it's really looking at sales velocity, and it's using a forecasting equation to say, okay, here's what you did in this time frame. Here's your time delays and your lead times, right? All this stuff. Here's how many units you should order today for each SKU that you carry for every supplier. And here's the last day you should order X number of units before you potentially run out of stock. And it's going to say, oh, you actually had a 20% increase in sales. Let's factor that in for the forecast, right? So you're going to fluctuate a little bit. It's not, amazing, but it certainly works. And I'm not looking to do that every 2 weeks because I like placing orders every 2 to 3 weeks, not once a month. That's just me. And I'm not looking to do that math that frequently on that many SKUs. I don't think it makes sense when you can just use a tool, obviously, to just do that for you. And then just say, hey, every Thursday I'm going to log in. Here's everything I need to place orders for, place them, move on, get back to sourcing, right? I want to spend the least amount of time placing restock orders or any order, least amount of time, period. Great question, though. Haven't been asked that one. That's a good one. Let's see. If BSR is low and average sales is 6K and there is 10 suppliers along with Amazon, will you go after that product or not? So you're giving me some numbers, but I need more clarification on each one specifically because I don't want to make. Well, I'll make some assumptions here. I'm assuming you took the BSR, the category, like we did with Jungle Scout, and you put it in there, and it spit out 6,000. Let's make the assumption that you used the average BSR. Very important. So you did that. It told you 6,000. There's 10 suppliers. or 6,000. There's 10 suppliers. You would be the 11th. And by suppliers, I assume you mean sellers. So yeah, I mean, all things being equal, let's factor everything else out because there's so much more to factor in just based off that math, of course, right? Like it's 6,000 sales divided by 11 people. That's huge volumes. It also raises a red flag for me because I think there's something there that you're not seeing. I'm just going to throw that out there. Maybe, maybe not. Let's see. Should we worry about merchants on a listing? Say it's 1 FBA and 5 merchants. I only look at prime sellers, period. That's an easy one to answer. I like it. Danny. Oh, all right. I'm going to throw in a plug. It's not me saying it. It's Danny saying it. This is a quote. I highly recommend your podcast with Amy Weiss regarding listing optimization. Very powerful stuff. Yes. Amy Weiss, we went in depth, not just like, here's why you should do it. No, like here's how many characters you should put here for the title. Here's how many images you should have. Here's the kind of images that you should have. Here's the bullet points for the descriptions you should have. Everything updated for this year after the algorithm update for Amazon. If I'm not mistaken, what episode number was that? I want to get that for you guys. And I'm just going to grab it. Yeah, that episode was awesome. I want to have her back on here shortly. So it's Amy Weiss of Amazing at Home. Let me grab while this is loading her podcast episode that we did together. So the podcast, if you get, because we have a ton of new people in here, is called Wholesale Made Easy. That's on iTunes, Stitcher, wherever you listen to a podcast, we're probably there. Let's see here. So she's episode number 7. But if you just go to, the podcast on, let's say, iTunes, just scroll down until you see Amy Weiss using listing optimization to land more suppliers. That's where I tie in, me and Amy, we tie in what I've been saying, right? Is providing more value, looking at how we can increase organic sales, increase the size of the pie using things like listing optimization, PPC. And we'll have a PPC pay-per-click one come out here shortly as well. Working on getting a few people that are phenomenal when it comes to that stuff. I can, we have a blog post put together of how I do it. It is at no point an expert. It's just, here's how I do it, and it works fine enough, but there's so much more you can do, and I don't want to botch that up. So that will help for you guys a lot. See, Barbara's jumping in here. I see you. We are just talking about you. So Barbara's episode comes out next Monday, and we're talking about bundling. So, yeah, again, increasing value. Just throw that out there. Got tons tonight. I love it. See, Carla, how do you determine the average BSR? So with Keepa, and let's jump over here so I can show you. Keepa does this for you. Makes it super easy. Under statistics, you're just going to highlight, and then you're looking at sales rank, which is the green column, and then you can see the last 90 and 180 days. I typically default to the highest average BSR because I want to be slightly conservative. So that's why we use the 2737. Now you can see right now the current is 1928. That is different, right? So if you use the 1928, it's going to give you a higher sales estimation. But that might not play out by the time you get inventory in stock. It might not play out over the next 3 to 6 to 12 months. I want to know on average, how many units can I expect to move? I know I'm going to move a bit more at times and a bit less at times, but on average, what can I expect? That's what I'm looking for. Once I've done that, I've placed my test order, I've got some actual sales data. Now I'm moving forward using forecasting, right? Based off my sales data, not just statistical estimations, things like that, right? So super important. That's how you do that. Super easy, right? Not too crazy. That's a cool thing. A lot of this stuff is not crazy hard to do. It's knowing how to do it the simplest way and not overthinking it. See, Don, senior year, Just think of the time you'll have starting in June. Oh my God. I know. I'm honestly like, with the amount of hours and everything, and James the same way, he's finishing, I believe, his master's in computer science. Yeah, gonna have so much free time. So James graduates this semester. So this is his last semester. So he's got like a few months, and he's like, I'm gonna have so much free time. I have a year left, but yeah, it's gonna be phenomenal. I'm not gonna. Well, I know exactly what to do with the time. It's gonna be spending more time with you guys, more content. You know, I want to do more videos and stuff like that too, and growing VinDrive and Aura. You know, we really have a passion for that and a philosophy and like a vision for it. So hitting that strong, that's where it's going to be so much fun. I'm so excited. Donald, what's your minimum dollar profit per unit? $4 per unit and profit minimum is what I'm looking for. Why? I want enough dollar amount in terms of like margin to be able to run profitable PPC, right? So you could have 60% ROI or margin, whatever, and that yield $2. Just because you have huge ROI is relative, right? So when somebody's like, "Oh, I do 100% ROI," I'm like, "Yes, but you're selling $10 products, so that's not really that impressive, right?" I want enough dollar amount of profit to run or at least test PPC. Guys, running PPC to your wholesale stuff is phenomenal. There's less competition. It's great. Please look into it. See, Steve. Oh, I love the guys. I love this. This is becoming like a trend. So Steve just said switching from Informed at the end of the month, over to Aura. So we actually have, have some users. Have some users that are sending us screenshots and posting some screenshots. There was one posted in FBA Rockstars today of people closing their other repricing accounts and in reasons why putting Aura. I don't know why I pointed to myself. I'm not Aura. But it's so cool. It's really cool, the fact that we are building this. I don't want to go down that rant again. Passion, love it, so cool. I geek out. It's good stuff. If you haven't tried it out, guys, it's just goaura.com, right? GOAURA.com. There's a 14-day trial. It's super cheap. It's high performance. James did the architecture for the data himself. Everything was built internally by James. So if you guys know James, know us, you should be good to go. Let's see. Jill, I got your message. I'm going to respond to you tonight. Sorry, exams, but I got you, girl. Don't worry. I saw it. Julie, great question here. What do you use as shipping address if you don't have a prep center / warehouse? You get a prep center / warehouse. Listen, prep centers are not expensive. They are a variable cost. That means you don't pay unless you use them. Unless they're charging you like a $200 subscription per month regardless, which they shouldn't. I would not use that. So I can get 3 prep center accounts open tonight. It won't cost me a thing until I send them inventory. So just get it, right? I've never touched or seen my wholesale inventory. At a certain point, prep centers are too costly for growing a really big wholesale business. But if you're getting started and you don't have a lot of capital and you're just figuring things out, use a prep center as long as you can until you're like, hey, now let's go get a small warehouse. Let's go get a little space. And then you go that route. So the simplest answer is go get a prep center, right? There's so many out there. Ask for recommendations. The one I've been recommending that I've always used, they actually stopped taking on new accounts, hopefully because we've sent so many business their way. But ask in our group, I think somebody actually in here owns one. We try to keep like the self-promotion stuff out of the group. But listen, if you ask and somebody's like, hey, we happen to do that, that's fine. So yeah, I would ask. And actually there was one, I think there was a question this week about that. See, Ali, how can you convince your first supplier to actually give you the rights to sell the product? I had much difficulty doing this. So this is where like context matters. So if you're asking for rights as in exclusive rights, that takes a long period of time building a relationship. If you're asking just to get the account, you can't readily share you know, we do a quarter million, a million on Amazon. You can't share that because you can't cite it. You transition over into a story. This is what I did, and somehow it helped because we all have to get our first account, right? We all have to get our first supplier. That means we can all do this. I transition into a story where I say, listen, we're within the first, and I always say we, never I, but it was always just me. We're within the first year, even if it's been a week. We're within the first year of operations. Right now, we're talking with, 5 to 6 suppliers, and we're looking to spend, 10 to 20 grand immediately within the next 30 days with them. Obviously, if we can do that profitably, we'll do that. If we can do 50 grand with you profitably, we'll do that as well. But we're looking to see which suppliers make the most sense, which we're a good fit with as well, because, it's not just about buying the products for us, right? We want to make sure we can get behind the brand. We believe in the brand, the value of it. We can increase the value. What we don't want to do is just jump on a listing, send you a purchase order, and never talk to you again, except for when we place purchase orders. You have to understand the psychology of what's happening and twist it. That's it. Absolutely it. There's a lot of analogies there that I want to go into. They all revolve around dating, because dating always is a great analogy for everything. I don't know why, but it is. Tell a story. Switch the conversation. When they say, how much have you sold on Amazon? We're within our first year, so we're definitely still building up. So we do have small numbers, but what we're looking, and again, I always transition to what we're trying to do. I'm telling them I'm trying to give you money, but that's not the focal point of the conversation. I'm getting them to understand me as a person, what I'm trying to do. I mean, sell that entrepreneurship, right? Share the stories, share the American dream, right? People believe in that stuff. So when you can get somebody, and you'll fill each person out. If they're really cold, you probably don't want to do that as much. But if the person's like warm and outgoing and open to you, share that. Be a little vulnerable, right? It's okay. Worst case, they still tell you no and you call the next one anyways, right? Like, that's fine. So it's not a big deal. See, Don, I am brand spanking new. Should I get VinDrive and Aura from the get-go? I know you'll be objective. Yeah, no. Okay, so here's the thing. With VinDrive, I would say yes, because it's going to help you with the sourcing. Aura helps once you have, I would say, at least 10 SKUs. Right? If I have to put a minimum of what you need to be at in terms of whatever kind of metric to use Aura, or any repricing, it's at least 10 SKUs, in my opinion. For some users, it might be a bit less. It depends on a few other variables. But if you're brand new and you don't have inventory, don't buy products you cannot use today. We'll be here in a month. We'll be here in years, right? VinDrive is going to help you when it comes to managing your sourcing strategy, period. And it's cheap. It's $27 a month. And what I'll do actually now is I'll get you guys a code if I can here, to make it even cheaper for you. So I would not jump into Aura right now, because I don't think it's not going to provide enough value. You're not going to be able to use it fully. Grow into that. And that's me being absolutely objective, because I just don't think it makes the most sense for you. Let's see here. Let me see if I can get one of these for you guys. All right, so I'm going to try to get one of those codes for you guys. That way it's even cheaper for you, because I know a lot of you guys are brand new. And that's why our products are priced so cheap, because we've been sellers. We get how it is, and we don't want to be like, oh, it's $1,000. It's like, what? Like, no. Like, that's ridiculous. So yeah, we'll take care of you on that. See, Aaron, does PPC on your listing improve sales for other sellers too? Great question. A big misconception. No, it does not. When you're running PPC on Amazon, using Amazon's PPC platform, they are only showing your inventory. So you're not saying, Amazon, here's $20 per day distributed amongst all of us. No, it's only for you. If you're going to run ads using like Facebook ads, Google ads, you have to use a specific link so that it's only serving your inventory. That's also easy, but when you're talking about just using, and I've only really done PPC using Amazon's PPC platform, yeah, it's only going to move your inventory, and it's only going to run when you're in the buy box, right? So you can't be like, well, if I raise my price from 50 to 100 and run PPC, it's going to be profitable, right? No, you're not even, it's not even going to run. So keep that in mind, right? Because a lot of people, and I get it, because I thought that too initially. I was like, well, can I just like run this real quick a little bit higher and be good to go? No, so you got to be in the buy box. Super important. Great question though. I wish more people would get more comfortable in testing PPC, because it's really not, it doesn't have to be expensive. It's easy to scale. It's easy to test a lot. And there's so much extra value for you guys on that I wish more sellers, even new sellers, it's an easy way to, let's say you have a product doing 30 units per month, and you want to scale it to 50 to 60. You can do that with PPC. Obviously, there's a lot of variables and factors there, but still, like that's totally possible. And it can be very profitable doing it. Obviously, you're not going to get, the exact same margin, but giving up 10% of your margin to have increased sales is still profitable, right? So super important there. So I'm going to grab a few things real quick. All right, cool. All right, so I'm going to post this for you guys in here. Cool. All right, so my computer is going ham right now, apparently. It's always crazy when a Mac's fan turns on. You're like, now we're cooking. All right, so I just posted this because I told you guys I would give you a discount code for VinDrive, so let me get this posted in here. This is only active for 30 minutes. That's just the system we have. So the code is live, all caps, live 19, live 19. So when you jump in, throw that in there when you sign up for your account. You get the 14-day free trial and 25% off the first 3 months after the 14-day trial. So it's like mad cheap. For 3 months, it's like under $50 for 3 months, right? So it's mad cheap. So I would suggest, if you're brand spanking new, getting into wholesale, definitely jump in, start using VinDrive, because it's going to help. Absolutely. And that's why it's priced the way that it is. It's priced for newer sellers. Aura, if you don't have any accounts and you don't have any inventory, does not make sense for you. If you are selling, whether that's, even if you still have some RA stuff, because I know a lot of people are transitioning to wholesale. Let's say you have some RA, OA stuff, whatever, definitely jump into Aura. Also 14-day free trial. We don't give out codes for that. It's a different product, but still a 14-day trial. You can use that. But like I said, grow into products when it makes sense, when you can get the most value. In my opinion, I think that's when you get closer to 10 SKUs that you're actively carrying. I think that's a good rule of thumb. Wow, I just realized what time it is. Goodness. Cool. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Cool. All right, so I got to run. I unfortunately have to study because I just found out I have another exam on Monday and one on Thursday that I got to catch up with, handle some support tickets tonight for Aura, all that jazz. That's right, you boys doing it. We're going to continue to do these every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard. So again, a lot of newer users in here, Facebook group members, whatever. Every Tuesday, same time, we'll do this again. So over the course of the next week, I want you to write down questions you have, hurdles you're hitting, things that you need help with, things that you think are holding you back, and write them down. So that when we do this, you can throw them in there and I can deep dive into these things with you guys and help you overcome them and tell you exactly what to do to overcome them, regardless of what it is. If it's something simple, I'll tell you it's simple and I'll give you a simple thing to do to overcome it. If it's more complex, we'll dive into the details of it and we'll talk about the complex as well. Jill, I promise you I'm going to message you right after this because I know you've been waiting. I got it. I promise. So I'll get that to you guys. Cool. So I will have this It's recorded, so this will be posted in the Facebook group, so you guys can go back if you want to. If you're watching the recording now, you're already doing that, so that's cool. Yeah, throw questions into the comments of, or post comments, questions in the Facebook group. Our group is so helpful, and I heavily filter the context. So if somebody's coming in here throwing out a bunch of nonsense that's not helpful, you're gone. Celebrate everything. If you call 10 suppliers and you got 10 no's, guys, throw a post in the group and celebrate the fact that you just called 10 suppliers, because a lot of sellers can't even get to that point. Celebrate that, and let's keep moving on. Keep the reality of this business in mind. I'm not going to sell you a fantasy, a dream. I'm going to tell you the realities of this. You got to call 100 suppliers before you can even say, this is hard. You got to do it. It's the math. But if you can promise and guarantee that you will call 100 suppliers, I don't care how long it takes you, that's irrelevant. But you have to commit to calling 100 suppliers, and I promise you will get profitable accounts. But you got to focus on the 100, not the handful of accounts you're going to get. That's the outcome. Focus on the process. That's what truly matters. Do that. That's what VinDrive is built for. That's why it's going to help you. It's going to help you manage doing that, because I know a lot of you just heard 100 and you said, what? That's insane. It's not hard. It doesn't have to be hard. We'll make it easier. And it doesn't have to be this pure chaos. We don't like chaos. That's why we build tools, because we don't want chaos. So jump in there, use that trial again. The code's going to be done in the next, I'm not sure how long I've been talking since I posted that, but probably 20 minutes until it just automatically expires. So if you want to do that, jump in there, get the 14-day trial plus, the 3 months after that for 25% off. Again, it's under $50 for 3.5 months of use. It's mad cheap. It's ridiculous. So jump in there before we raise the price, because we're going to at some point once we rebuild the thing and add new features. But for right now, you guys are good. Guys, you have the rest of the week. It's only Tuesday. It's going to be good. I believe in you guys. You got this. I promise you. Focus on the 100. You guys will do fantastic. Guys, have a great rest of your night, and I will see you in the Facebook group.